Hello everybody, welcome to another speedrun game against Monsieur Farage. He offers us a pawn, we'll capture it. He's rated 1466, some type of gambit. He develops the knight, attacks our pawn. But I just want to develop as quickly as possible. I don't want to engage in his I protect the pawn, he attacks the defender, all that, whatever he has planned. So I'm gonna go with e5. He pre-moved it. I'm gonna offer him a draw. Take the draw, guy. White declines it, okay. Why would you decline it when you got caught on a pre-move? That makes no sense. He's down a full piece. Our bishops are already open. We can just develop. First, let's bring out a piece with a threat. He retreats. Let's develop another piece actively with a pin. He gives us a check. We block with the queen because trades are good for us since we're up a clean bishop. So we happily accept the trade. Now you could retreat your bishop and keep castling, or because there's no queens on the board, you can take with your king. I'm going to keep castling though. I don't mind moving my piece back. I still have 2 out and he only has 1. So he castles. Fine. I want to castle just so I don't get caught in any weird pin and king safety. Now we're just up a piece and we can trade. He hangs an entire piece and resigns. What I wanted to show you about the opening was, even if it's not computer best, right? Here, let's click on analysis. Even if it's not computer best, like I go e5, forget his pre-move. The intention is, you know, it's undefended e5. He can take it, but that would then enable a potential queen trade. Maybe he'll lose castling rights. If he takes back with the knight, he's just down a pawn. Oh no, he's equal material, but his knight's back, and he has no advantage for whatever trickery he's going for. You don't even have to necessarily trade the queens too. You could just develop, maybe block it. But we'll see. Does the engine hate it? Let's find out. First of all, what is the best move here? Okay, the only move is to take, which usually makes sense. Whenever an e-pawn is available, usually you grab it because it's the best pawn on the board. And for other reasons, but okay, so here he attacks the pawn. Now, the first top engine line is knight of 6, which would be the most logical, but then you fall into their whatever they have planned. Then second best move, and still, you know, minus 0.1, so in black territory, is e5. And I like e5 because it just opens everything up, says I don't care about these pawns in the center. I'm going to get my pieces out super quick and have a completely fine game. White's best move here is knight g to e2. That's not very obvious that that's the best move in this position. I can see a lot of players doing a lot of other things. If he does take the pawn and we queen trade, it's a king. It's just a normal, like, equal game where both sides, they get their pawns and they both can develop, and it's kind of, I mean, it's perfectly even and symmetrical. Only black has castling rights, but white has the turn, so it's just an even game, but it's kind of lame for white. So let's do another one. Now we have the white pieces against Weigelt. Let's see if we can get a Ruy Lopez, and we do. Let's develop a piece, attack a knight, prepare castling. He pressures our bishop. We don't want to trade a better piece for a worse piece for no reason. So we move it back. And we say, hey, we got our bishop outside the pawn chain. He goes, makes a weird move, bishop d6, which does defend the pawn, but your pawn could have done that. It's probably a move though, as I've seen this in many openings. You know, there are lines that include it, but okay. I'm going to play c3 in case he hunts my bishop. I have a nice cubby hole, so I don't have to Trade it. He develops his knight to the side. What does he want to do? Play f5? I'm not sure. I don't know why he did that, but okay. I think it's time to castle. We don't have to worry about playing h3 because he can't ever pin us because the pawn is in the way. So we don't include it because then it's kind of a waste of time. Unless for some reason you want to stop the knight, but I don't see a reason. Why would he do this? He jumps his knight in, which doesn't make sense because you could have jumped it here from f6 to start with. And if I kick it, he just has to move. So it doesn't really make sense. Unless he's trying to get me to make a hook, but it doesn't really make sense. Or maybe when I do it, he wants to fishing pole me. I take, he takes, I move my knight, he queen h4s me. That's what he's going for, fishing pole idea. That's so dumb. That's so dumb. Okay. We can even break in the center though and just ignore this guy. Which is usually a good idea. Takes, takes. I mean, I like what I see. His king's in the center. If he castles, he loses all fishing pole ideas. If you don't know what the fishing pole is, it's just sacking your temporarily sacrificing your knight to get a kingside attack. He hits the bishop, which frees the knight, but we just move it and this pawn is defended. And now our bishop's coordinating here. So when I move my knight here to attack this pawn, his knight's going to be hanging. I was looking at that earlier to just attack the knight, but it's only one threat because the bishop wasn't here. So it wasn't coordinating, it was still over here. So I didn't make this move, but now that it's more powerful and it comes with a double threat, I'm considering it. So he moves his knight back preemptively. So now again it will come with only one threat. So he moves his knight, attacks our pawn. Fine. I'm just going to go flexible. Rook e1, defend the pawn, see what he does. Is he going to castle or what? I'm just going to make improving moves until he commits. You know, rook e1 is a flexible improving move. a4. Flexible improving move, so I'm going to throw that in. I could maybe throw h3 in. I don't necessarily want to do this bishop pin yet until he castles. So he takes the pawn. So this is a future idea. But for the time being, let's take our central pawn back and threaten e5. He castles. Neglecting what is the threat. And now we get e5. And a 1500 just misses an extremely easy tactic because he automatically moved. Which is what many chess players do. Because you have to, because they usually play 3-minute games. So that's what they're used to. But if he said, okay, he recaptures the pawn. What's the threat? Oh, he can push. He's threatening a fork. Let me do something. And this wouldn't even be possible if you didn't put your bishop on a dumb square to begin with. And there's really no reason to do this. You know you're not supposed to. So he moves the bishop. Let's take a free knight. It does give his bishop a nice square. Not sure why he's thinking. What the heck? There's no way that he rationalized this move as a what? Okay, so he just opened up his king and gave us crazy stuff. So we have bishop here. We have knight to f5. I mean, moving the knight immediately just gets the queen out with check, but he probably intends on playing d5, shutting out my bishop and opening a bunch of stuff for himself. We could throw this in, but he'll just fianchetto. And what's the point? You could develop to try to get this way, but it's always going to be defended. I like throwing in the free move, so I'm just start with that. Okay. Developing the knight makes a lot of sense. Also, knight h4 makes a lot of sense. Knight h4, d5, bishop c2. So if I go here and he fianchettos and I go knight h4, he has to stop queen g4 somehow. So he has to play f5. But then queen h5. And even if he takes my hanging knight, I go queen here and checkmate. Yeah, so maybe I should stop the d5 pawn presence. Okay, let me do this move, which is weird. Okay, oh, he doesn't fianchetto, he just tries to fix his problems immediately. That's fair. I shouldn't have done this move, maybe. Maybe it's too slow then. I mean, I'm up a piece, so who cares, but... I mean, trading stuff's good for me, of course. If my rooks were connected, this would be great. I would just lift my queen to defend the bishop, rook would defend the rook. But now my knight's in the way because I wasted time with a non-developing move. Rook lift. Changing diagonals. Okay, I'm gonna take his bishop first. He could throw in the check, I guess, and put my queen on the e-file. But he moves the rook back, which doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Now I can move my knight to the side, I feel like. Open up my queen. Stop him from playing f5. And stop him from playing e6. d6. So how does he control the light squares when his light square bishop is stuck? Yeah, so he makes random moves, but your king is way too weak to be messing around like that. So this check forces this. Now you need to be able to checkmate him on h7. You also have rook lift ideas, which are interesting. We could go to queen h5 because you don't want to help his king. You want him to spend his turn willingly on his own. So here, if you ever go there, I guess you could bounce the knight around. Okay, I'm going to go queen h5 instead of giving the check on g4. I think going king h8 is what he needs to do. So giving him the check forces him to do what he needs to do. I don't want to help him find his defense. So he retreats the knight to get some protection. Makes sense. He's also hitting my bishop, which is defended, but I feel like you want to move it anyway to go on the different diagonal, threaten checkmate in one. We could maybe sack, but then we have no follow-up. So let's move the bishop. f5 hangs. Knight g6. I mean, he can stop the attack maybe, but we'll get a lot of trades in up a piece. So knight g6. We don't have to take it and help him. Maybe we can just bring in another piece. Try to rook lift. That looks fun. Yeah, let's do that. d5, hitting the bishop, opening his bishop. Okay. So I think I'm just going to trade my bishop for the knight since it's attacked. Let's just get that trade out of the way. How's he going to recapture? He's lucky this bishop controls h3 because you have some sack, takes, sack. He has to go to the side. That would be checkmate, but the bishop covers it. So if I give check, I can force his king back, and then I can go rook g3. So takes, takes, takes. King here, queen here, king here, rook here, king here, queen here. Whatever, I'm up a piece anyway, so even if it didn't work, you know, you would just end up in some better endgame. Who cares? But this definitely should work. Although if we were doubled with our rooks, it would immediately be over. But since we can't bring in that second rook, it's a bit more dubious. But after calculating, you can see his king is going to be running, and you're going to be scooping pawns. His king's going to be in the middle of the board. It can't be good for him. Oh, he doesn't even take. So now you're just up material, right? And he's going to go here, but whatever. So now what do we do? I guess we have to move our knight. Would make sense. Let's move it here so that we can plant it on the outpost, which is extremely annoying. He'll probably be forced to trade, and then our queen gets on the outpost with ultimate protection. So he opens up lateral rook, so he has two of them defending, but now we come with serious threats. Also stopping rook over, which he wants to do. So he'll likely take. But when he does, now he has no minor pieces. Our rook controls the e-file, our queen controls the light squares from the outpost, and he'll have no counterplay, especially once we get doubled. You know, no matter how much he stacks up on the g-file, a simple move like g3 ends everything. g3 is only super weakening if there are minor pieces, but with just rooks and queens, I mean, well, especially rooks, you can't just do anything against pawns like this. So I'm threatening to just win material. I will do that if he lets me. And if you develop your knight to c3, it doesn't have anywhere to go. So knight d2 makes a lot of sense to get it to f3, which supports your pretty much only real weakness in the center. So he moves the queen and threatens the knight, but doesn't ask himself what I'm threatening. So now let's take the material. Maybe he'll resign. Unless he saw this and did it on purpose, but I doubt it. Yeah, he didn't. So let's just take a quick look. Hopefully I didn't do anything too dumb, although there's definitely inaccuracies, but those don't really matter. So yeah, we get a Ruy Lopez. Force move, we retreat. Yeah, you can see the graph, it's all white, so 91% accuracy, no mistakes, no blunders, 3 inaccuracies. So I'm usually happy with just inaccuracies because good luck avoiding those as a human. So let's go through it. You know, in a classical game you could do it, you know, better moves, but whatever. So we go for our Ruy Lopez, c3, preparing d4. He brings his knight to this weird post. Computer says it's already +2 if you break in the center immediately. But I castled first because I liked my king to be safe in these lines since I don't have anything memorized. And now I break in the center one move later. It still says it's +2, so our position looks great. Force move. You could retreat to c2 and defend the center, but because he's playing so poorly, because he doesn't have pressure on the center anytime soon, coordinating on this other diagonal made a lot of sense too. Okay, now we just improve a piece, defend the center. Computer says you could already have just been a lot better if you take. He'll probably take with, I don't know, the knight to keep the bishop. We'll take the knight, he'll put the bishop, and then maybe you get free f4. Yeah, that's what they want, free f4, and the fork. So that was just a long-winded tactic in case he takes. But we just develop our rook and accuracy. He takes the pawn. We take back. Computer says this is another inaccuracy. You could just push and go for the fork. And if he takes the piece is pinned, so you can then take back the pawn. So fancy stuff by the computer. We took back first, trying to prepare the pawn push that you do not need to prepare tactically. It's already prepared tactically. So another inaccuracy. But we're +3.5, so totally crushing and completely winning. Also, there's no tricks when you don't go down these fancy lines. There's no possibility to miscalculate, so That's always nice. Like, our position's so solid, black can't really try to trick us. Now we get in the free move, the piece, free stuff. I have no idea why he opened his king like that. It's +6 already. So we just develop for free. And then here I think I made the weird bishop move, which of course is fine, but there has to be more accurate stuff. Knight c3, knight h4. Yeah. Yeah, I should have gone with knight h4. That made the most sense, just to open the queen. But okay, my move's just nothing wrong with it. It's still completely winning. It allows him to try to trade, but it's +6, so it's not like trades are, you know, bad for me. But we take his bishop off the board, and then we go knight h4. And it's still nice that we have this bishop here. He can never move the e-pawn. You know, if he fianchettos, he's kind of on the wrong diagonal, so it's nice. Then we bring our queen in with some threats, scary stuff, pinning the rook. Force move for free, threaten mate in 1. And notice how I don't immediately just start trading. I bring in a new piece. I'll get it to g3 or h3 if I'm allowed. Okay, so now that he's forced move, now I'll trade and remove the defender. And now is sack the best? Yeah, knight takes g6 is the best. And the line I was looking at was he takes, I take, check here. And because you can't go here with the rook, I was going to check him with the queen. He'll go back, then I can bring in the rook. But they're saying you can, it's actually mate in 4. Oh, yeah. So I calculated if the queen goes here and checks him. But if you simply do the same check from this square and then bring the rook over, he can't escape. So that's just checkmate immediately. Even better. So, really good game, extremely solid. Missed a couple fancy, better lines, but completely solid game. Good luck in your chess. See you next time.